Hello, friends, and thank you for joining. So, in the last video, I was talking about the reasons why women stay in an abusive relationship, why they stay in domestic violence. And some of the reasons that I mentioned were that women think that he will change, they want to save them, they want to be loving and compassionate with him, they want to heal them. Fear, of course, and concern for the safety of the children. Damaged self worth, I think, was another one that I mentioned. And I left off talking about the woman that's married with the man that has, social standing, famous guy, popular, rich, well known. And I was saying that, it's hard for those women to speak up because of the shame, the embarrassment. They are embarrassed or afraid of looking like someone who is trying to ruin his image. If they're both well known couples in the community, she might be more reluctant to speak up because of how that's going to affect the reputation, how she will be perceived. Not to mention, the comfort that sometimes some women live in their neighborhood, their houses, the children in private school. A lot of times, those are things that are pretty hard to give up. Um, in effort to walk away from an abusive relationship for safety. But the next reason that I wanted to dive into was embarrassment. A lot of the times, when a woman is experiencing domestic violence, or she's with a man that restricts her movement, isolates her from her friends and her family. He doesn't like her family. He doesn't like their views. He doesn't like their whatever religion. They may not be good enough for him, or just issues within the families. He may want to. Sometimes the abuser, through manipulation, especially if he has narcissistic traits, may isolate the woman from her family, which could also be her support system that could offer her help one day. So the embarrassment idea comes from that once a woman has been in a marriage or in a relationship where she's experiencing abuse, she'll be too embarrassed to call home. She'll be too embarrassed to call her family. She hasn't had any communication. She has not been in touch with many of them for a long time. So at this point, to call for help, might be quite embarrassing. And also the stigma, the criticism, and the judgment of looking like she's defective or she's unable to maintain a relationship, seeing her friends or her sisters being happily married and talking about the kids and the schools and all the beautiful things that, my husband does for me, and we bought a new house, and they hear all those beautiful stories and see all these women happily married, and they're afraid to speak up because she's not going to want to display that her relationship is not perfect, and that on top of that she's getting physically abused and being hit and beaten. So they want to look happy, they want to look stable, they want to have that front, that facade of fake happiness, while in secret she's miserable, she's abused, and she has no freedom. So they want to have that facade of enjoying marital bliss, so that her friends and families can think that she's just so happy. And when women get together at the tea parties at the women's club, they talk about all sorts of things, and you'll hear one say, "Oh, my Robert just bought me a new car, and we did this, and we went to Europe." And the other one says, "Oh, we just bought a new house, or he just repaired the roof," and they're just bragging on their husbands, and you're sitting there like trying to think of something to say, because you know that just a few days ago, your head was smashed in the wall. So they keep quiet out of that embarrassment. And of course, the next reason women stay is due to financial constraint, financial limitations. These often are even bigger if there are children involved. Because once you've been isolated for so long, once he has kept you isolated from your friends and family, you may feel like you have no family to go to. You may have family, but asking them for a place to stay for a couple of weeks, a couple of months, by yourself is simple. But when you have two, three, four children and you don't have any money, you know, that becomes a reason to stay. It almost becomes like bondage, right? Financial limitations. If he she has a job but he earns more, or if she's a stay-at-home mom. In some countries, quite often, Very common. The woman doesn't work, she stays at home. Where's she going to go? Unless you have a good, loyal friend or an understanding mother or somebody that you can go to and stay with until you figure things out. A lot of the time, financial constraints can keep a woman bound. I know someone that was going through a situation where she says, I'm leaving. And he says, if you leave, I will destroy you financially. I will take everything. Imagine that you worked for 15, 20 years, daydreaming about your retirement, daydreaming about that trip you've been wanting to take, and you're experiencing, marital troubles, verbal abuse, financial abuse, domestic, physical abuse. And then when you reach a point where you figure out that you're no longer safe there, that you need to move out, that you need to at least separate, or you threaten him with, I'm filing for divorce, I can't take this anymore, and you hear, if you leave, I'm taking everything. I will destroy you. For a man to say that, if you have a company, if you have a business, if you've been able to save some money, can you imagine that? Some women literally would just stay and deal with all of that in the hopes that, the little bit of money they worked for their retirement, for their children, will remain. Financial constraints is a big one. Isolation, I already mentioned isolation, that they just, who are they going to talk to? Depending on the lifestyle that you have. If you're married to somebody who's a prominent person, well known in the society, well known in community, both of you guys are well known in your church, in that club, in that organization that you both belong to, who is she going to go talk to? That will be a safe place. Most women in that situation feel like they can't trust anybody. They will be judged, they will be criticized. If she tells the wrong person, they might go tell somebody else, and somebody else in the news might get back to him. And just imagine the retaliation. Huh, ladies? This is crazy. The bondage of isolation. It's a big one because it's hard to find somebody to confide in. And even if you wanted to speak with someone, how do you even get started? How do you even muster up the strength that you've been looking so happy? You live in such a nice house, such a nice life. How do you get the conversation started with someone about what you're really going through? And religion, that's a big one. Not so much here in the United States, but other countries. Here too, but other countries. Some religions frown upon a woman leaving her home. Some religious some religious beliefs, even though they don't speak it openly, but they support a man disciplining his wife, like a parent disciplines their child. Religious and culture's belief and practices may not support divorce, causing the woman to feel trapped. Okay? So, and I understand some people are going to hear this video and they're going to say, well, women abuse men too. I totally understand that, and I agree, and I will speak on that about, some women who just really become angry and aggressive and want to jump on the man and want to start beating him. And, I caution women not to do that. Don't do that. I spoke in one of my previous video. I think it was the psychological traits of a woman, psychological traits of an abuser. My mom always told me, if a man is mistreating you or you become angry, don't jump on him. Ladies, know your boundaries, know your place. There's other ways to handle the situation, but blatantly, physically being the one to be the aggressor, it's not safe for your body. As I found out through a friend of mine, it's not safe for your reproductive organs. Just find another way to handle the situation and just walk away. So I'm going to pause it right here and I'm going to pick it up on the next video. I have a small video clip for you to watch. It's short. And then we'll talk about on the next video how the traumatic psychological effect of what divorce and domestic violence has on children. Okay? So until next time, thank you for watching.
You ready? And for the rest of my life, I don't want to be with anyone but you. What are you doing?
Until death do you part.
I do.
Well, maybe I wouldn't have to worry about other guys looking at you if you didn't dress like a whore.
I just don't know what I would do if you were with anyone but me.
Where you been?
Hey, but I'm talking to you. Do you hear me?
I didn't want to do that. You just don't listen.
Who's that?
Hey! Sure you're okay? I'm fine.
Who's gonna take you in but me? You will never see your son again.
How about next time? I make sure you never leave the house again.
Guess it's my lucky damn day. Look what I found under the bathroom sink.
Tony, wait, just no, hold on! YWCA hotline. How can I help you? Every day, 24,000 women are abused by someone they love. Just one phone call can help put a stop to it.